What if trying harder is actually the problem? All that hustling, striving, working on yourself, working towards is actually disconnecting you from your spirit and life. I just need to do more. Ever heard yourself say that? I know I have. When in reality, you don't have to do more. What we actually have to do is remember that you are a manifestation of the divine. Remember that just by being alive, you are inherently worthy, so that we don't get caught up in the spell, in the hypnosis of the ego self that often criticizes ourselves with a million paper cuts of negative self-talk, leaving us feeling shamed, blamed, squeezed, and exhausted. In this video, I'm going to show you how to quiet the noise of your head, to reconnect to your inherent worthiness, to your spirit, and to your life, so we can try less hard, so we can actually just start to relax and even enjoy our lives more. I'm Sonia, I'm a 4th generation intuitive, and I teach you how to use your intuition as your innate divine compass in life, practically grounded right now. And the reason why I'm sharing this video is I really see how many of my clients, how many people that I walk through in life are usually this unworthiness pattern is running their life. And they're exhausted, they're over it. Negative self-talk, I just need to, I didn't try hard enough, X, Y, or Z, that leaves us depleted and exhausted. So first and foremost, I want you to recognize that you are a spirit in a body. You are not this spacesuit. The moment that you took your first breath, your spirit entered your body. And when you exhale for the last time, your spirit will leave. And if you've ever been around a newborn baby or somebody who's passed, you can see that this is very much a vehicle. This is a spacesuit that we use. And when we are born, our spirit comes into our body. And what happens is we develop an ego. Our ego intellect is often described as the critic, but ego in its right place has a really important role. It helps us self-separate out from one consciousness. If you didn't have an ego, you wouldn't be able to tell yourself from a speeding bus that's coming down the street. We need it. Now, the thing is a lot of times our ego, which in my world we call your pet, it's your barking dog. It barks a lot. It barks at anything, and it's trying to protect you. And that barking dog usually uses really critical language that electrocutes our nervous system. But our pet is not meant to be the one driving the bus. Your spirit is. Just like you wouldn't let your pet drive your car, you wouldn't let your pet be in charge of your life. And that ego that is our pet is actually meant to help us control our borders, help us with our self-worth, our self-respect, knowing what actually works for us when it's in service to our higher self. Now, with our pet untrained, it's kind of like running rampant, like pooping all over your house, but that's actually just the ways that it blames and shames and makes you feel bad. So first, I want you to just even recognize one of my favorite tools that I love to use. Rub your hands together, pull them apart, and just start to feel the dance of energy between your hands. And start to feel this is the way that we're connected to our spirit. Our hands are connected to our heart space. Next, place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly, and then just take a deep breath in through your nose. Imagine like you're breathing up through your feet, and exhale like you're exhaling 10 birthday candles. And I just want you to drop your awareness from your head space to your heart space, allowing the in and out of your breath. You don't have to do, you don't have to try, just concentrating on that energy. And you might notice something interesting, that the chatter of our head starts to quiet as we start to reconnect to our spirit, home number 1, our body, home number 2, planet Earth, home number 3. This is a place where we can have access and support, where we can start to quiet the noise of our heads, of that barking dog that gets super, super, super loud. And when we can recognize that it's our pet that's trying to help us and actually isn't meant the one to be running the show, we can actually start to give our human parts compassion. Because the ego, like I said, self-separates out. And with that separation, when it runs the show, it actually can be the one that has us feel like we're disconnected, that we are not enough, that we have to try harder. And in our culture, there's a lot of ways in which we put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. That might be scrolling TikTok, that might be shopping, that might be numbing out, that might be using ChatGPT, which are all ways that we actually just lose our connection to the present moment and to each other. Truth of the matter is that the quality of our life is directly tied to the quality of our consciousness. Are you aware of how you speak to yourself? Are you aware of how you navigate through the world? Are you even aware of how you try and motivate yourself? You know, when we start to show up, and one of the ways that unworthiness shows up and the way that we really hurt ourselves is negative self-talk. These are the ways that we show up because the ego likes to pretend that it knows what a good person is. It likes to pretend that perfection can exist. And so it constantly compares. But it's like a sugar high. If I'm better than you, then somebody can be better than me. And the belief is it's a good motivator, but it's kind of like it gets the immediate. When you're yelled at, you do it, the compliance and the immediate, but long term, it erodes away at our ability because it's actually a secret shame. And when we shame ourselves, we shut down. So instead of trying to wrestle or control or try harder, if we can just notice it as a vibrational note, ooh, that's interesting. My head is being really loud and really negative. And if we can feel it in our body, our pat, when we're in our head, it feels tight, squeezed, like a little, I always imagine like a pair of pants that are too tight, your jaw gets locked, your breath shortens, and that is one of the ways that we can tell when we're disconnected from our spirit. Spirit is consistent, but it's also our breath. You know, at the moment that we take a breath, we start to reconnect and get out of anxious thinking and come back to the present moment. So another tool, if we're feeling really anxious, really overwhelmed, of just noticing, okay, my body feels tight, it's barking a lot. This is a flag that my human parts need some help. So one thing I can do, pause, take a breath, take one breath. And if you're really struggling, look at something that's right in front of you and take 3 deep breaths. Now notice. You might notice that all of a sudden the energy and overwhelm starts to slow down as we start to reconnect to ourselves, to our present moment, and to our spirit. Now, the other way that we can just start to notice, okay, negative self-talk. I am motivating myself for this short-term compliance, but it's not really working. Instead, when we can start to reconnect, hand on our heart, hand on our belly, connected to your beautiful spirit, imagine that you are looking at yourself from a different perspective. And maybe even invite in your pet to have a conversation with you and ask, what are you trying to protect me from? Thank you so much for your help. I really appreciate it. And then give your human parts a hug and some reassurance. You're doing a good job. You're trying the best that you can. Thank you for being of service. It's a lot. And truly, when we can start to interact with our human parts from our higher self, they'll start to entrain. Because instead of trying to be like, shut up, be quiet, you're ruining everything. If this wasn't happening, then everything would be okay. Instead, we can see it as an unskilled way that the inner critic, that pet, is trying to help us. So really, first and foremost, notice, how do you talk to yourself? Would you talk to somebody that you love like that? Would you talk to a child like that? Would you talk to your best friend like that? Then please don't talk to yourself like that. It's a habit, it's a pattern. And if we can just practice being aware of when we get caught in that loop, when we get caught in that trance, then we can pause and change the channel. As simple as taking a deep breath, giving ourselves kind words. You're doing a good job. You're trying your best. Even just recently, sitting down to do this video, even the other day, I sat down, I took a big break, and every time I sat down, it just felt tight. My head got so exhausted, and then all of a sudden, I was being hard on myself. And instead of saying, Sonia, you need to try harder, you just have to do it, I saw it as an invitation that a part of myself was struggling. So, same tool, hand on my heart, hand on my belly, and invited in my human parts and said, look, Thank you so much for trying to help. What are you trying to protect me from? And it's like failure, looking dumb, any of it. And thank you for trying to help me. And instead, we're doing the best we can. And maybe in this moment, which yesterday wasn't the moment, that's okay. We'll try again tomorrow. And so here we are. All of a sudden, everything started to relax and organize. Instead of seeing where we feel like our failures as a reflection of ourselves or of who we are or part of our identity, they're actually invitations to get to know ourselves and our spirit deeper. So as simple as shifting our awareness, paying attention to musical notes, my favorite tool. First, name your ego intellect. Name that voice that goes around and around and around and around. Imagine it like a pet, a dog, a Chihuahua, a Rottweiler, a Pit Bull, a Doberman Pinscher. Give it color, definition, anchor how it feels in your body, how it cuts you off, how it creates that anxiety. Then we can start to separate that energy out from ourselves. Then name your spirit. So my spirit's name is fill in the blank and see what resonates. It doesn't have to be right or complicated. Using that same tool of hand on your heart, hand on your belly is a great way to connect and to just be curious. If you even want to anchor in even more deeply, how would you describe the energy that manifests uniquely as you? Is it grounded? Is it playful? Is it effervescent? Is it curious? Is it spontaneous? You know. And when we start to give it language, when we start to, instead of just having it roll around, even more importantly, say it out loud, we stop trying to figure it out, but move into ownership. Yeah, this is my spirit. It's very different than your head. And you'll feel it in your body. One of the ways my spirit, when I'm connected, I feel open. Everything in me relaxes. It's very different. So once we can start to pay attention, then even throughout your day, just check in. Who's doing the talking? Am I caught up in the trance? Can I pause and invite in more of my spirit to be compassionate, to have more space so that I can try less hard? Because that's your pet driving the bus. Shame, blame, guilt, we often think that they are good motivators. They are not. Truly. There was a whole scientific study done where they took a bunch of Berkeley students and they gave them an unpassable test. First group of students was neutral. Second, they said, be, and they could take the test as many times as they wanted. First group, control, do their thing. Second group, they said, this is really hard. You want to study really hard. This is only the best. And really just finding different ways to really motivate yourself, which often a lot of times Berkeley students and really smart, all people, a lot of times what we do is hard on ourselves. The third group, they said, look, you can take the test as many times as you want, but your job is to be as kind and compassionate as you can, really within your own self-talk. First control group was fine. The second group that was hard on themselves, they took the test only a few times. Now the group that was kind and compassionate showed up the most amount of times and then did the best. That's a mirror. The more that we show up and give ourselves grace, gives ourselves compassion, give ourselves space, gives us fuel to show up to hard things in life with a lot more grace, with a lot more balance. And just as you wouldn't disparage a tree or a beautiful flower or a sunset or a beautiful work of art or music that moves and connects you, you too are that same source and energy. So remember, as my Nana would say, you cannot improve upon your spirit, only allow more of it. And one of the ways that we can really train our consciousness so that we can enjoy a better quality of life is by training that awareness and instead of just getting stuck in the illusion of separateness, of unworthiness, and not enough. Be your own best friend. Be kind. And a really simple way also to cultivate that energy. If you really have a hard time, it's like a self-love practice might be challenging, then think of somebody that you love. The first thing that I think of is my niece Sufi and my niece Ara. I love them so much. It's so easy. And close your eyes and cultivate that energy in your heart space, and then bringing somebody else to mind and feeling it, then send it to yourself. These practices, especially when done consistently, are truly life-changing because they invite not only in our spirit, but grace, but allow us to jump back into the flow of life instead of being in fear of doing it wrong, or not being enough. Because truth is, you are. Just remember, what if you just accepted, like, I'm enough, I'm worthy, period. All of it. Every single part, even the part that's a jerk, that too, all of it. So I'm sending you all my love. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next week. Bye.